Hey there, welcome back to another video. I am Ramona, and today's little video topic is, does anyone else have memories that don't match with reality? So it's an interesting topic, kind of a glitch in the matrix scenario here, but here we go. Ready? It's very hard for me to explain it, so I'll just throw it out as an example. I remember going to the beach at night and listening in my mind to a song that reminded me of the ocean. I'm sure as hell that it was a song because I remember thinking, oh crap, I must play this song in my head right now because it fits, and I don't know when I'll get to the ocean again. Thing is, the game this song is from was released in August 2015, and this happened in February, so it's impossible that I had listened to it before. Another example is a memory of me being in my complex's pool and my mother asking me if I was willing to leave a game I pre-ordered a few weeks before its release date, or to release immediately. This game released in March, and the pool only opens from June to September, so yeah, not possible. I also have a very vivid memory of me dancing to a song in a living room we used to have. I found out about this song in 2014, and it said living room was replaced by a bedroom in 2012. I know these memories are wrong, yet my brain refuses to correct them and insists that they are that way. It really gets confusing. Someone else replies, or their story is, yes, when I was in fourth grade, the Challenger blew up. We were going over the mission in class since there was a teacher going to space, and my teacher was so excited. It was basically all we talked about for a few weeks. Then came the day of the launch, and we watched it live in class. The rocket blew up. My teacher flipped out. Everyone was crying. It was all happening. The only thing is, I was in the fourth grade in 1999. The Challenger blew up in 1986. I have told this only to a couple of people, including my boyfriend, and they think I'm crazy or remembering it wrong. But I know this happened, and yet I have no idea how to explain it. And the replies there are, the Challenger explosion seems to be a recurring theme in the Mandela effect stories. The original Mandela effect, however, is easily explainable. They put out the story that Mandela died in prison, and then it turned out months later that the story is fake news, that Mandela is still alive and freed from prison, but it didn't become known to everyone. That said, there are things like the OP or the commentator hearsay, and many, many other stories that can't be explained just by false memories. Something seriously might be wrong with the fabric of, well, not the universe, but beyond. My explanation would be that the parallel universes are collapsing, that quantum immortality is an effect of that for some people rather than the cause. That said, there are big mind-altering experiments carried out by some organizations. The less scary explanation would be that our memories are altered somehow. Similarly, some children were convinced that there were pedo cults organized raping them. That was long before the real such cults came to the spotlight. So maybe those memories were real and it was all a cover up. But if they were altered, who can we still trust? Exactly. Like the dates don't match with the events, yet you swear it really happened because you can remember very specific stuff associated with said date. For example, I was talking about the launch with this person I met in grade school, and we had a very specific conversation. I have memories of a life that I also never lived. I also remember being baptized when I was a baby. I really like that some of the memories I have, not including my baptism, because it really were me, was from another life or a reincarnated one of some sorts. I have also experienced some sort of past memories, but the thing is, they took place in places that didn't exist before I was born. Exactly. One of the memories I have is crossing the bridge in somewhere in Asia. When I was young, I was obsessed with karate and Bruce Lee. The memory I have is so vivid, I would tell my mom about it. Maybe it was just a dream I had when I was a little kid, or maybe it was some kind of reincarnated memory of a past life. But the fact that I was so enamored with Asian culture makes it kind of strange to me. Too many that doesn't belong to this reality. This goes nicely with the Mandela effect. I deeply remember being in the Sagittarius arm in the Milky Way galaxy and learning that, for example. This hasn't been my reality for nearly 3 years now. When I was really young, 7 or 8, I very specifically remember getting a really, really bad migraine and waking my parents up because it was so bad. They ended up taking me to the hospital because I was just crying in pain and was inconsolable. I remember getting to the hospital, walking down a dark alley, and being in a hospital room at the very end, connected to all kinds of shit. IV, heart monitor, some wires on the temples of my head, etc. And I even remember my grandmother coming to visit me and seeming very concerned, but no one would tell me what was wrong with me or what was going on. I don't remember much else. like going home or anything. But when I asked my mom about it when I was around 13, she swore it never happened and it must have been a dream. I asked her again when I turned 22, and she said the same thing. But I'm certain it wasn't a dream. I've had dreams that I've confused with reality, but I know this wasn't one of those. I'm 24 now, and it still bothers me because it is such a clear memory that everyone claims it never happened. I posted this earlier and I got some information that could be quantum immortality. I should research that. I usually can't remember what happened afterwards. Then it's a good sign that it must have been a dream, or you just blocked out. Even if you can't remember what happened immediately after that, maybe you can try to remember what it was like the days after. Did you miss school? Do you remember taking medicine or something similar? Basically, look for permanent consequences to distinguish dreams from real memories. That's actually pretty good. Yes, when I was about 5 or 6, my stepfather came into my room, woke me up, then carried me to the basement, proceeded to the unfinished part, and tied a rope around my ankle, and hung me upside down from the beam in the middle of the room, then left me in the pitch black darkness. I, of course, was terrified, and started screaming and crying. Once I started doing that, he hurried and rushed back to the unfinished part, and untied me, and carried me back to the finished part, then turned on The Simpsons, and we watched an episode together. I then woke up the next morning in my bed. I confronted him the next day, even cried and pleaded to my mother. They had me walk down the stairs and show me where this had happened, and the beam in the unfinished part of the basement was gone, and there was pretty much nowhere in the room that he could have hanged me. I then told them we watched an episode of The Simpsons, and he showed me that the DVD player wasn't even connected, and we didn't even own The Simpsons episode that we watched. All in all, it was a very strange, and it's a memory that feels 100% real, but nobody believed me, and it took me seriously, and I was convinced by my stepfather's reasoning and explanations. But to this day, I do not know what happened, if it happened or not. I still to this day remember very vividly seeing a picture of my mom walking down the aisle to marry my dad. They were never married. The instance like this, I remember, was when I was a little kid, 4 or 5 years old. I was in the backyard alone, and a 7+ foot long snake crawls out in front of me. I couldn't move. I was trapped between the snake and the fence. I was petrified as it went past me and down a hole. For some reason, I didn't immediately go inside and tell someone about it. I also believe I have the opposite issue, too, like I have memories that have been erased. Imagine you have something sitting somewhere for a very long time, and you move it. Yes, it's not there anymore, but the ground beneath and the space around said object would indicate that an object was there at one point in time. Now think of that object like a memory. There's places, emotions, pictures, and situations that feel familiar, but I have no memory of ever experienced them. Like really intense deja vu. Whenever I talk or think about the empty space, I get a chill. I get uneasy, like I'm walking through a place I don't belong, trying to see something I shouldn't be trying to see. I have a very vivid memory of experiencing a blizzard. I'm originally from Alabama, so those don't come very often. This blizzard I was remembering, it turned out, happened 3 years before I was born. I asked my mom about it, and she said there was literally no way that I could have known about it unless someone told me. I then mentioned to her that I remembered watching a video from an old camera of all of us in the house during the blizzard, all bundled up and drinking hot cocoa. I even remembered an exact quote that was said. I remember my older sister saying that she was so tired of being inside, and my mom telling her that maybe sleeping in the snow would be a good change of pace, and everyone laughing. My mom told me that no video like that ever existed because they didn't have a camera in our house at the time. My uncle did, which he used to film special events for our family, but he lived a good hour and a half away, so there's no feasible way that the tape exists, and no reason I should remember either of those things. The one that gets me the most is the Mona Lisa. I specifically remember learning about it in art class when I was younger. The teacher was talking about how it was so famous, and one of the distinctive features on the painting was that she was not smiling. That was the main focal point of the painting, and the fact that she had a straight face, and that many people wondered why he didn't paint her with a smile. I've only recently heard people talk about it and looked it up, and sure enough, she has a smile. The painting is unsettling to look at now because I know she wasn't smiling, and the whole of it just feels very different. The story I always heard was that the painting is famous because it was difficult to get her to smile. You probably remember the details of the story, but misremember how the details fit together. Memories are not as reliable as we like to think. Remembering something is more like stitching together details and factors that are related to each other than it is like watching a video of what happened. So it's really easy for our brains to remember something very differently from how it actually happened. I think most people have memories, thoughts, remembrances of things that may or may not have happened. I know I do. I I swear I saw the Grand Canyon with my grandfather. But I logically I know there's probably no way that happened because I was only ever on one road trip with my grandparents, and we sure as hell didn't go to the Grand Canyon. We were going to Colorado. There's no reason we would have gone to Arizona. And but I remember standing on the edge with my grandfather and looking at it and our conversation. I was a little kid. I just don't know how that happened. I also remember because I grew up on a ranch and we had a chicken coop and you'd have to crawl over the pins sometimes. And I remember as a little kid crawling over them, falling and breaking my leg. I remember this. And my two sisters were there and everything. But nobody else has that memory. And they're like, no, that never happened. But it's such a strong remembrance. It's weird, isn't it, how human minds can just, I don't know if they're playing tricks on you, or honestly, I kind of like the idea of it's possibly an alternate version of you, an alternate memory, and it just somehow gets stuck in you. I don't know. Anybody? I don't know. But I think a lot of people have had different sorts of memories. I've even seen news clips or news broadcasts that of things that I know they were said in the news and they never happened. It's very strange. Human memory is it's wonky. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you've got any comments, please leave them down below. I would love to read them. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.